according to the clock. Call this meeting to order. And justice for all. All right, so do you want to do roll call or do you want me to just go into it?
We need
Mic
to do
on?
roll call.
Daryl, mic on? Yeah. No, if I was the one making the noise. Okay. So roll call, everyone's here but Barry. Yeah, Walter is doing his NIMS training tonight, so he won't be with us. And just taking it to the next step, on everybody's agenda, on the agenda packet that I had published, I did not include an executive session at the top of the meeting. Since the production of that publication of the agenda packet, I did decide to go ahead with the council's permission and to have an executive session at the top. Should only be a few minutes. And so with everybody's approval, 1 MRSA 4056A, executive session for personnel matters. Need a motion.
So moved. So moved.
Somebody's got a second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you.
Aye.
We'll be right back and I'll. No, we're doing it right now. Come out of executive session? Yes.
I make motion that we come out of the executive session. Second.
Any discussion? Sorry. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. And an aye from the. Oh. So we have no other adjustments to the agenda, right? We've already done that. I do not. All right, time for a public hearing. So if there's something that, oh, no, sorry. Got excited and said the wrong thing. Public hearing on the water department 2025 budget. You wanna? Yeah. Just make sure you turn on the mic.
Working? Hear me?
Yeah.
Did you guys get it out of your folders, or I emailed it to you a couple weeks ago and whatnot? Have a chance to look at it.
Is it in here?
It's up some this year because of mostly because of insurance. We have two guys that haven't been on the insurance since they've been there, and one of them's kind of thinking about going on it this year, so had to include that in there. So the operating side with wage increases is up, 30-something thousand dollars because of that. Other than that, in the operating side, all the lines either stayed the same or I tried to cut a little bit to try to save on that end. Is there any questions about the operating side of the budget? And I don't have a lot of changes except for that insurance and regular wages, so if there's any questions, I'm free to answer anything you got. Try to.
I appreciate you cutting that little tree down at my house. That was in front of the, I assumed it was you, not the fire department. There was one right there by the,
Oh, no, I didn't do that. I don't know.
oh,
who
there's
did
a little
that.
pine tree, but it was gone. I came
Yeah,
in
it's
one day.
nice for us too.
So I thought for you, sure, you guys did it, but
No,
it might have been Scott or something.
I don't know.
Who
That's a
knows?
good question.
I've been talking about doing that for quite a while. I figured you guys.
Yeah, I got some at the house I need to do as well.
I don't hear
Any,
anything.
okay.
Thank you.
Well, so the capital side, overall, it's really only asking for another $1,000 compared to last year. There are some things each year we ask for money to put to our accounts, mains and grants accounts, to replace the pickup. We're gonna spend some of that money with your permission this year. In 2026, highway is supposedly gonna rebuild, the upper portion of Highland Avenue. A few years ago, back in 21, we did the first 600 feet. When they did that project, I got the pipe, I got most of the material ready to go. I put it out to 3 contractors to do the job. I only got one price back, which came out to a little over $111,000 for them to do the whole thing. That being said, I think there's some things we can do. Talking with Chris from Public Works to cut some of those costs. Did I put that in the packet? I got the copy of the thing here if you want to look. You can see the loan fee, obviously, we can do stuff like that.
Yep.
Some of the services. You know, they're getting, I don't know, $3,000-4,000 a piece now to do a service. The only thing I don't want to do is get in their way and slow them down. I want them to get
Okay.
in and out of there. So it'll be a collaboration if that works for you guys. But I think that we can cut some of that cost down. But I wanted to put the whole thing in there just in case, you know, things happen. The other one is the pickup truck. Public Works and us have agreed on a price for them to buy ours. I went out and got prices on trade-ins. It was a wide range, and we work together well. We do a lot of things with them. They do with us. So we're selling it to them a little less than our lowest trade-in value would have been, and you know, they give us help doing this water stuff. They give us help hauling us gravel. So you know, it's a give and take situation. So I think that works for all of us. Put $10,000 in there, hoping to replace that pickup truck this year. I think we can find something. I you know, send out an RFP to several dealers and see what we get back. I'd already got some quotes to try to figure it out before the budget, and I think we can do something there. The other thing is EJP has stopped dealing with census meters, which are in our system. We've been talking about starting to slowly go to radio read for years. They're offering a deal. They call it a deal, and I guess it is, but to get a package for 100 meters and their software. I included, and you can, you know, you can make payments for 2, 3, 5, up to 5 years or something. So I put it in for 3 years to do that package. I don't know if we're gonna do that. I got to research more, but this would get us started. Each meter now for radio read is $250 a piece. And the software alone was like $14,000. So it
Wow.
was like for $30,000, they would give us 100 meters in the software. So it does
How
save.
many services do we have?
There's 800 and some odd meters in the system. It would be a multi-year project to do the whole town. We would not do the whole town. It would be phased in over years. Because we have 4 routes that we read. So to me, the smartest thing to do was, okay, we'll do half of Route 1 this year and half of Route 1 next year. Then you got that whole route now radio read. You don't have to go and walk around. It'll save time and whatnot in the future. But anyway, that's in there to get us started. We might not even go that direction. I haven't decided that yet, but it's in there in case we got to do some more research on that. And then the pump motor replacement, we're starting to fund for that. A few years ago, we replaced the pump itself. The old motor was placed back on the pump. And I want to be prepared to replace that when the time comes. There was a vibration they didn't like, but he thinks he got that straightened out at the time. So I just want to be prepared. So you know, overall, it's just it is up, but mostly because of the insurance, if you look at it. And then we're gonna spend some of the money out of our accounts.
And I don't know if you know this right offhand. Do you know how much one of those pump motors are?
Yeah, he said it would be right now in today's money, $10,000 to $12,000 for them
I
to
was
do
just
it.
wondering if 2,000 wasn't like, is that enough to build up?
Yeah,
What
I
do you
mean,
think?
I think it would bring us up to 5,000 now, so within a couple of
Okay,
years,
yeah,
we'd be
yeah,
in pretty
we'd
good
be pretty
shape.
close,
You know
right,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yep.
Um,
I'm just making sure, that's all. I mean, if
You
you
know,
told me $40,000, I'm thinking $2,000
no.
isn't gonna be very much.
and obviously, 3 or 4 years down the road, it's gonna be
Right,
a little more.
Right,
But it'll get us closer. I think we, it seems to be running just fine right now, but, the other thing if you do want us to go ahead with that project, I put it out to 3 people and only 1 got back. I don't know if you want me to go in the direction of with who gave it back to me, if you want me to try to do it again. How you want to do with it. I kind of dealt with this guy. It's up to you, you know.
How
We can-
long ago did you put it out, Jake?
It's probably been a couple months now.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not like a year or so ago.
No, no, it's not.
recent.
No.
Okay.
And he knew going into it,
you knew the time frame.
time frame is next year and whatnot, so. Whatever direction you want me to go, I can try to get more out there, but
Now, Jake, I've got a question about those meters. I want to go back to the meters with the reading.
yep.
Is there any way when we have people, if you choose to go that way, is there any way that when somebody moves in an area where public water is available and they come to you for a hookup for their new house, that we can get money from those individuals?
Well, we already do.
But I mean, if you were going to do these meters to cover the meters,
How much would a normal install be? Would they be covered in the,
So when
for
we,
this meter?
so if you're
Like, is there
building,
about 250
if you're
bucks?
building a new house,
Right,
you're charged for the parts in the meter.
okay, so they will be charged for
Now,
the
if,
part that
if you
put
already
on.
have a meter in your house and your meter stops, then we replace it and you
Right.
don't pay for it.
Right.
But as far as new buildings or new
Right.
construction, yes, it's covered.
Okay,
And a lot of this stuff, like, looking into this budget, transmission distribution, when we buy our CTS, when we buy our curb stops, when we buy this stuff, when we put that stuff in, we're getting reimbursed for it, but it doesn't show.
Right.
So it's truly,
Yeah.
it's, and
Well,
I
what
haven't,
the reason I was asking that is if you go with 100 meters and it would actually potentially be more than that, because if you required every new house that was built that was on public water to install that instead of a traditional meter, that would indirectly be a way to add people on without having to budget
retrofit.
for them. Yeah. Does that make sense?
right, the 100 meters is just what's in the package that they're offering us.
Yeah.
You could decide to get 200 meters. or
100
whatever.
meters
Right.
and the software for 30,000, and
Okay.
we do have a meters and installation line where we can get some more meters out of that. That's where we usually buy our meters from.
Right.
So as far as new ones, yes, we might have to put in more, but it's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of effort to get into people's houses to get
Sure.
meters changed. I've been through it once before here and it's very time consuming. So, saying doing a half a route a year is probably, and it might be ambitious, but I wouldn't want to do 50 people in this route and
Right.
20 in that route,
Right.
because it would just make no sense. If we can get one route that we can read by radio, great.
Right.
We don't ever have to walk around that route again. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Well, the reason I threw that out, I thought it might be a benefit to you guys, because as the new ones go up, if you have that automatically put in with a new build, that'd be one less on that route you'd have to worry about getting.
Yeah,
at
I
the
mean,
other end.
there will be sporadic ones because of that and ones that stop that we have to put in and stuff like that. Because we
Okay,
won't put in the old style meter. Once we start the program, it'll be these,
Right.
but
okay,
and you know, we got to make sure my biggest thing is Michelle making sure that the software and everything gels with what we have now because I don't want it to be a nightmare.
Right.
So that's why I
I'm
say
sure there'll be some kind of a learning curve.
that's why we say that's why I say we haven't decided yet. We've had them come in and show us. And
So are there any towns around here that are using this system?
everyone's in the same boat as us.
Yeah, everybody's waiting for that
The
that new
first
car
one.
to be tested out before they.
Yes, and these meters have a lot of different capabilities too. That they have leak detection, not just for the home, but for the system. And
Yeah,
it's,
I mean, I
it's a lot.
certainly can see where in the future it makes sense. I mean, just think the wear and tear that won't be on the vehicle, right?
Yeah, and the
and the
time,
man
Right,
hours.
and the man hours, right?
but it's not something that's going to happen overnight,
Right.
completely. But
So what you're saying is like the physical meter in the house has to be replaced.
We have to
It's
get
not
in-
just the reader on the
so-
outside. You don't
so-
get to just go and put a new
so-
button on here.
so with these meters, there will be no more reader on the outside of the
Right,
house.
it'll
There's an
all be
antenna.
inside.
There's an antenna on it, and the signal goes outside.
Yep.
And the other thing is, with these meters, and with all of them, even the ones we put in, there's a life expectancy, and it's, I think, 20 years now. So if you went and replaced 800 meters in 1 year, 20 years from now, you'd have to go and do it. So
800.
you wouldn't want to do everything at once anyway, unless you want to spend a ton of money,
Right.
every so many years. So I don't know. Any more question of the meters? Because I feel like
Yeah, no,
No,
it's
that's fine. I'm good.
I guess the only thing is direction on that project
Right.
and what you guys want to do with it.
Jake, on this particular project for the 500 feet, 12-inch main, did you have it engineered at
No.
any time? Did you get an
No.
engineer's estimate on this? For
Not on
comparable
this one.
pricing
Not on this
to
one.
compare his estimate of 111?
I mean, we just got an estimate for Libby Road, engineered estimate for Libby Road, and it's a lot more than this.
Okay.
Per foot, so. I mean, I understand engineering, but I just don't think it's another cost that really not necessary for,
How
project of
comfortable
this size.
are you with the CETO earthworks?
pretty
Have
comfortable.
you used them in the past? or-
I have not yet. Lewiston uses them for all of their emergency work and whatnot. And they've been doing it for quite some time. They've hired some people from other companies that we've worked with before running their pipe crew now. So, and I don't know him well, but I know of him. And the other thing with, you know, talking with him when he was here, he's willing to work with us and allow us to do some stuff on our own. I say, but you know, I don't want to get in his way. Some contracts are like, no, we're either gonna do it or you're not. And I mean,
Well, that's that Highland Avenue areas could be wet. Houses, equipment.
it was at the bottom, but now we're towards the top and the soil was turning a little bit better than
Or clayish.
it was at the bottom. It was a nightmare at the bottom.
So he has
It
the
was-
equipment, trench boxes.
Oh,
et
yeah,
cetera,
he's
to-
got a
Oh,
big-
yeah.
Yeah, he's got 20 something guys working for
Okay.
him and they do all
All right,
kinds
I'm
of
not
work.
familiar with them at all, so that's why I asked.
Aceto Earthworks has a good reputation. I looked into them.
Yeah, and you can see they've got a website with a bunch of their jobs on it and stuff like that. And like I said, they do all Lewiston's emergency work. And he told me another town. And we used to have St. Laurent do it, but no more. They sold out to Genrin, and they're the ones that I went to. And he came out, looked it over, and kept telling me he'd get me a price. I think they'd be more anyway, but
Are you comfortable?
I am comfortable with it. And like I said, I think, you know, working with them and being able to save a few bucks doing some things, I think that's worth the shot. It might, you know, it might end up into a good working relationship maybe down the road, like we had with St. Laurent at the time when they was a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
We worked well with them.
Do you anticipate any change orders?
The only thing I could see coming, it would depend on massive boulders or something up there.
I don't think there's
You know,
ledge up there.
There's no ledge, I don't believe. I know when we did some work on Elm Street, there was some pretty big boulders here and there, but it was here and there. So I guess when you get digging, you never know what you're gonna find. But no, there shouldn't be any change order. It's pretty straightforward. 8 services, 12-inch main, and one. We don't even need a hydrant on this job because we already put it in the last project. So
The only thing I didn't see on this proposal was an item cost for, for ledge.
he did put in the notes that would. He didn't put a cost, but
You want to make sure you nail that down.
yeah, and I can talk to him about it. But
Cause that could really hurt.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
it
if
would-
they
it would-
penny a yard,
It
you know,
could-
or
yeah.
if they,
definitely,
put 1,000 a yard.
right. Yep. So.
That's the only questions I have.
Anything else on the general budget at all? Or?
I think you did a really good job, Jake.
So,
I
right.
appreciate your work on it.
all right, thank you. You guys are good, I'm good.
The public want to speak to that, right? The public can speak.
Yeah, this is the public hearing
Right,
for this,
it's a
so.
public hearing, so if anybody has a question, now's the time to ask it. Not closing hearing and going to the cannabis license renewal.
For some reason, I don't know. Is it your mic?
So far, so good. Everybody can hear me. Can you hear me, Paula?
Yes,
Yeah. All right, 6.2.
We have some paperwork for you to sign, assuming you accept it. Maybe it's me.
is
Test, test.
Heathwork up, a functioning, store? Because the name does not sound familiar. Or is it one that has come in and hasn't gotten their process going yet?
So, Heathwood is the entity that bought the foreclosed property out on 26. And they are in the process of converting that foreclosed property to become their new shop for cannabis. And
Okay.
we, the town, have 4 cannabis licenses, and they want to keep their license, one of the 4. And so in order to do that, annually, they have to give us a check for $1,500. And so they have done that. So there's really nothing for the council to do other than to, renew the license and say thank you for the $1,500. It is my understanding they expect to build sometime in 2025. Stay tuned.
So
Okay,
this is a new license. This is a new license to them, but
So
it's one of the original 4 licenses.
It's an original. A renewal.
It is a renewal.
He applied for and was given the 4th license
Okay,
at the time of the foreclosure.
Okay.
And they
Alright.
have started demolition, from my understanding,
Okay.
on that building.
Alright.
Tom
so
was
this
up
is a
there.
renewal.
It is.
I wanted clarification.
It is, and it's been signed off on by fire and police.
Okay. Anyone have any questions, comments? No, we'll close this hearing and going to the license renewal for the Heathwood. What we just talked about, for those of you in the public. So I need a motion.
Notion that we, renew the, existing, license with the Heathwood, for their cannabis license. Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand.
aye,
or say aye.
Thank you. You want them to sign that now or later?
We have no appointments or resignations, so I'm gonna just keep going while we sign. Just me. Oh, great. So we need a motion, or we're going to general reports, accepting of the minutes.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented for the November 12th, 2024 council meeting as presented.
You also have the October 7th.
They need to be done separately.
Right.
Second, the first one.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Who was not here
I
for
was
the,
not here.
Okay.
so I have to-
yeah, that's what I was,
Yeah.
making sure we had the numbers though. All those in favor, raise your hand.
I
It is moved. It is just, I'm tired. Sorry. It was approved. The minutes for October 7th.
make a motion that we accept the October 7th, 2024 council meetings as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those, oh, sorry. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
I
Thank you.
Oh, you're killing me, Sonny. That,
He
What's
was,
that?
he was not here for the October one.
he abstained for the second one.
second one. Yeah.
Even though he said aye.
Yeah.
He really meant I abstained. Uh, Oh, my word. This was gonna be an easy one, I told you. Department report, monthly reports.
I make a motion that we accept the department monthly point reports as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
I
Okay, now we get into the fun part. Public comments. So if you have a comment, please come up, state your name, your address, and what you want to tell us. Try to keep it at a reasonable amount of time.
3
Yes.
minutes.
Well, I'm in charge and I just said reasonable amount of time. I'm not gonna sit here and measure the 3 minutes. If it's not reasonable, I'll tell you. So, come on up. Is it turned on? Sorry, Steve.
Steve Turner, 27 North Main Street, Mechanic Falls. May I hand out some invitations to the board members?
Okay, cool. Thank you, Steve.
I hope the paperwork is self-explanatory, but just a couple things I better add is that our school system, in Mary's words and our superintendent's words, has reached an all-hands-on-deck moment. We on the school board are trying to balance our taxpayers' financial needs with the academic needs of our kids and the needs of the school facilities in order to get our kids ready to face the second half of the 21st century. To that end, we formed a public relations and community outreach subcommittee. And the purpose of the committee is to try to encourage open discussion among our school's various stakeholders. We hope to draw on or summon the total life experience and perspective of our school's stakeholders in the service of our schools. And by that way, we hope to find some wisdom. One last thing I should add, may be obvious to you, but I'll just say it anyway. These kids are 100% of our future, so we sure hope you guys can come. Thanks.
Thank you.
When is it?
The 10th.
Of December?
Yeah,
Yep.
December 10th at 6 at the Minot School.
Okay.
I'm gonna email it to you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jess Smith, 13 Perkins Road, also on the school board for our town. So next Monday at 5:30 at the high school in the cafeteria, we're having a board workshop. And we think that we have found a new consultant to help us apply for grants. Grants are our favorite because it's free money, right? So this is the SRRF School Revolving Renovation Fund money. We applied last year and we won one of the six. I think we put in 6 applications, one big project for each elementary school, and then some smaller projects. We got one. So that was bad, not the outcome we wanted. So
Right.
we are trying a new approach this year, but it is a competitive process. So we're competing with all the other public schools that apply in Maine for a limited amount of money. So we're trying to put our best foot forward this time. So next Monday, we're having a workshop with a new consultant that we hope to work with in our next round of applications, which will be submitted next year. Also next Monday is our regular meeting. So following that workshop at 6:30 in the cafeteria at the high school is our regular board meeting if you'd like to come. And then next Tuesday, what Steve invited you all to is what I mentioned last month when I was here. So at the Minot School at 6 o'clock is going to be our community forum. I'm the chair of the operations subcommittee for the school board. And much like Jake was talking about his budget for the water department, you know, we're looking at capital expenses, we're looking at operational costs, we're trying to figure out how we can spend our money as wisely as possible. So we really hope that our community and all of you can come join us. This year, our capital budget, we have $600,000 budgeted and we're on track to spend it all. Which is good because in the past we haven't always spent all of our capital money for whatever reason. We're doing that now. We're already starting to plan for next year's budget, approximately 600,000 again. But our list of things that need to be repaired is much more than that. So that's why we really want to have these conversations. Our meeting on the 10th is not going to be how we normally run our meetings, where it's kind of, we run our meetings very similar to you, where we all have microphones, we sit at the table, everyone in the audience is quiet. This is going to be a short discussion with a presentation about kind of looking back, the consultants we've had in the past, how do we develop the capital improvement plan, and then where are we where are we right now, what projects are we doing this year, and then what are we planning for the future, and how are we going to get there? But it'll be a panel discussion. We really want to increase the interaction. So it'll just be everyone sitting in chairs, passing the microphone around, people from the audience asking questions, giving feedback. We're really hoping to be collaborative. Like Steve said, we think that that's what's been missing in recent years and we're looking to improve going forward. So if you're able to join us, please do.
Who's the new consultant that will be there?
We haven't voted to work with them yet. So can I tell you next week?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we just have very basic information at this time. I haven't met them yet, so
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Mary Martin, 219 Jordan Road, also here representing the school board. And I know Jess talked to you last month about some changes in our budget process. Last year was a tough one with the budget, and we're not expecting this year to be easy. So we're trying to sort of expand that, make it a more comprehensive process. So just to let you know, probably in January, we'll need a representative from Mechanic Falls on that budget committee. Also wanted to thank Daryl because he has volunteered to represent you on the cost share committee. And tomorrow night, Poland is doing at their meeting, will select their final representative. So it says within the document that talks about process that they can't call a meeting until 15 days after. So it's likely it will be January before we have those meetings. And it's probably, if we look at how the process is described, I would say it's probably going to be 4 or 5 meetings. So just to give you a sense of that and to say thank you again for volunteering.
Anyone else? If not, we'll open it up for council comments. Okay, moving right along. Town manager.
All right, I've got a list of things to go through here, but some breaking news. Don't hold me to the dollar, but I just got the final payout for the road paving projects, sidewalk projects for 2024. And the final payout is coming in a little bit better than we're saving around $24,000, somewhere between 24 and 25,000, less than what you guys accepted for bidding back in the summer. So that's a good deal. That'll give us a head start for next year.
Praise the Lord.
What's that?
I said, praise the Lord.
There you
That's
go.
money.
We'll take victories wherever we can find them, right?
Amen.
Speaking of which, the famed FEMA, the pain in the buttukas that was to go through for the last year.
Yep.
I can tell you that we did receive $15,255.32, which is currently in our bank account. So thank you to FEMA and the state FEMA. Thank you. NT&T phone internet. So as you all know, we are underway in swapping out our phone and internet vendors, and the process has begun. I'm praying, Paula.
Yep.
Give me another prayer, would you?
I
praying,
will.
I'm praying for a smooth process. I don't know. All I know is it's the right thing to do. We'll get there. Stay tuned. A reminder to everybody, Christmas tree lighting this Saturday, December 7th at 5:30 at the park. And Ashley has done a fantastic job working with Public Works and everything. Speaking with Chris this afternoon, I believe pretty much all, if not all, of the decorations are up. So that will be good. Be there Saturday, December 5th at 5:30 for the Christmas tree lighting. For the holiday season, the town office, a note to all, and I'll post it on website and Facebook when we get closer. Town office will be closed at 11:30 a.m. on Tuesday, December 24th, at which time we'll have the staff Christmas party, and we will reopen on Thursday, December 26th at 8:30 a.m. Also to New Year's, the town office, of course, will be closed on Wednesday, January 1st. So that takes care of my updates. Back to the chair.
Make a motion to accept town manager's report.
Make a motion, we accept town manager's report as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you.
Old business, before and after building.
So last we spoke,
Yep,
you all gave me a directive
yep.
to reach out to the state fire marshal's office. And as I did, and I spoke with a gentleman by the name of Mark Value. Don't know if I got the last name right. I hope I'm close.
Vayu.
Mark is a wonderful gentleman. We had an awesome discussion that afternoon, and I took some notes as best I could. I've included a follow-up email that he and I did an email exchange. So some basic information about the building. So based on what he told me that afternoon, that pretty much any other use other than a daycare would probably not necessitate any enhancement in fire protection, AKA an alarm system and all of that. I did talk to him I brought him up to speed about the conversations to the moment of possible uses for that building. And he said that if they'll come in and do a rating of how many people, and if it's more than 50, then we need to make sure like doors, the egress swing outward the heating system, depending upon the use. If we used it for historical society / community room, the firewall and the heating system would have to be remedied, but not a lot of other stuff. He said that if we are going to have a change of use, that we would need to apply with a permit to the fire marshal's office. He included the packet in the email that I made a part of your packet for future information. And he said that if there were under $50,000 of changes, then we could submit hand drawings. But if it's going to be more than 50,000, then we need engineered
Architecture.
drawings. So that's the gist of my conversation with him. He, like I said, he was very good to deal with. I really think that he thought that the only reason about the necessity for the fire suppression system being enhanced was really because of the daycare facility. It's really needed for that. And a couple of off updates. So I don't know, for those that haven't heard, Amanda will be closing down on Friday, December 20th. Will be her last day there. And I've had a couple of people reach out to me. I don't know if they're here tonight. So you may want to hear from somebody who has a possible idea. In addition to the ideas that we've heard, I will also say that I've spoken with Chris Arsenal in Public Works, and he suggested a possibility might be a cold storage, or putting in lawnmowers and blades and things like that, a storage facility to get things under cover. And so I, out of respect for Chris, just offer that as a possible option for you all to consider moving forward as well. All right, would you like to be entertained by our guest here?
Makes
Sorry,
sense.
I don't remember your name, so I'll just have you step up, turn on the microphone and have at it.
8172 North Street in Mechanic Falls. So I talked to Amanda, I sat down with her, I called Vic. I work for Sprinkler Systems Inc. in Lewiston. So I've spoken with them. I was able to find the dimensions of the building through the guys at work, the designers and such. Because there's no attic, it wouldn't need a dry system. It'd probably just need a wet system. But then it would probably need underground to the main line. In the boiler room, there is one brass pendant, which was old code from what I've gathered. The other suggestion that I got was the fire marshal might be okay with just a fire alarm system for a little bit. The problem, I mean, there's 16 families there, so we've all had to scramble to figure out daycare for these kids. So I don't know, I guess, which way to go. I wouldn't mind helping out, taking it over. I would be working full-time still at SSI and then keeping the girls that are employed there, keeping them there. It's not much of a gross profit margin. I've already crunched all the numbers and Amanda gave me a breakdown of everything. So it'd be kind of me just volunteering. But
If I may. So
Yeah.
did you guys discuss the fact that based on, if you were to basically do her agreement, she's responsible for winter heat and electricity
Right.
and certain maintenance and all of that.
Correct.
So based on our phone conversation we had for a few minutes, you had this whole thought process of maybe picking up where Amanda's leaving off.
Correct.
And I had expressed to you that of the costs that are involved, didn't know if it would be feasible for the council to consider or not.
Correct.
And so I just want to make sure that as you step up here, that if they did want to consider doing something and investing money into the building for fire suppression, that you would be fully aware that you would be taking on all
That
of these
cost.
expenses. Thoughts?
It's a lot. I guess I would my thought after speaking with you and then getting a cost was that there was no way the town was gonna help out with the money aspect of it. It would be something that I would have to put out of my own pocket.
What was that cost?
Between $40,000 and $90,000 for a sprinkler system. 90 is with a dry system, but that's usually with an attic. There's no attic in that building. So you could do exposed pipe, which would save you money. I could definitely talk to some of the sprinkler guys that I work with about helping out on the weekend. It would be pro bono. But that's, like I said, and the other conversation that got brought up is sometimes the fire marshal would be okay with just a fire alarm system, which that would be 5 to 7. So you're talking horn, strobe, smokes, a fire panel.
What about the fact that the furnace room isn't up to code?
That I have no idea. Amanda didn't mention any of that to me. There is a pendant in there. There's a brass pendant I saw in the
it's not-
boiler. It's
it's
attached to
not,
copper pipe. It's old code.
Yeah, it needs 5/8 sheetrock. It's not a big expense. It's not,
Drywall, finance.
and it would need first coat,
Fire
I
suppression.
believe. But
And the door would have to be changed.
it would need a fire door,
Need a 2 hour.
which is like $300 at Home Depot and Lowe's.
Yeah.
I mean, hypothetically.
Yeah, so the trying to, and again, you all decide, right? But trying to be helpful and winnow this conversation. So this month's edition of this ongoing conversation has all the standard stuff before, razz the building, make it used for historical society / community room. Try to do a deal to keep the program open, which would be an investment of some monies and an understanding on your part that you would need to pick up basically her expenses. And Chris's cold storage thing, those are the ongoing, could we maybe put the PD there, which I think in my mind has been kind of squashed, but I don't know about the rest of you folks. So just setting the table for you to discuss this. Those, I think, are your present
Right.
options. And if you're not going to do anything, you had talked last month about the possibility of basically winterizing the building
Give yourself
and
some
all of
time.
that. So if you're going to go that route, then I need to kind of know what my direction
Right.
is from you folks.
So I have a question for you. What is your thought processes on timeline? Like, you can't obviously get all that done before she closes.
No, because
Right,
December
No, I know.
20th is the last day.
right.
So, and the other thing, I mean, we have parents that are scrambling, like
Right.
scrambling
No, I
for
know.
daycare.
But
And then-
what I'm saying is they're gonna have to find something, but like they can't. They're scrambling, but like they're going to have to find something to
Right.
at least bridge them.
I guess my confusion was, I know this before and after school program has been there since 2014. And I'm just not understanding why all of a sudden the fire marshal is giving them.
You're
a hard
asking
time.
us to explain what the fire marshal's gonna do?
Well, I mean, it's been licensed by the state, so the state's inspector has been in there. It's posted, you know,
Just,
Amanda has.
just
it
so you know,
posted.
I'm a president of a campground that does youth programs, and we've been fined for the last 20 years. I've been president for the last 20 years, roughly. We got nailed by the state inspector this year. So I don't know why the state does what it does, but the reality is we've been told it has to be done. So for licensing and everything else, and for our own insurance, we would have to have that into place. I understand. I
Right.
understand what you're saying. This is a lot, this is a pretty big commitment on both your part, a huge commitment on your part, and also a commitment by the town. So. don't-
And I
that's-
think it may have to do with the fact that the gentleman the fire marshal that oversees daycares is a new gentleman. The old gentleman has retired because
Jared.
my stepmother has run a daycare at their residence for 13 years, and he come in and he zapped her for something that the other fire marshal for 13 years never had a problem with. And it was a 1958 law. So he claimed. So
I don't know. Any thoughts from you guys?
Awful big commitment, outside of a way for you to figure out to change your pricing. For this, for the kids, being serviced over there, the parents paying more, which is horrible,
Yeah.
it's
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 mean, it's a-
tremendous financial burden.
Yeah, it's 12% gross margin is what it's at right now.
That's nothing. I mean, that's nothing to, you can't make it on that. Because there's always unexpected expenses all the way through, especially in the old building. I mean, you got a lot of issues. It's drafty, old,
Yeah,
costly
there's no
to maintain.
insulation.
I mean, as a builder, when I walked through, I was like, "Ugh." I was like, I could retire on this building if I could work for them, but I can't. So
It's a tough place for a program like that. I mean, it was useful for years because we didn't have the oversight that we obviously have for all these bureaucracies that are looking down on us now. And insurances are ungodly, especially, when you're dealing with youngsters, potential for, a claim is pretty high. There's an awful lot for you to consider. I mean, if you're gonna, chew on something like this.
now, if I may ask, I thought Amanda and her date before and after were moving over to the school. Are they not doing that anymore?
Last I heard, there was still not licensing over at Elm Street.
Bummer.
I personally, my thought process is winterize that sucker. Because all that work could be done, like, you don't need water to do what you're talking. You're talking months down the road. If a sprinkler system goes in, by the time you get the funding to do it and to get it done, you're talking summertime, realistically, to get that stuff done. Maybe you have connections, maybe you can get it done sooner, but you still gotta raise the money to do it. So like, I don't see this as being a quick fix. My thought process is, just my thought process. I'm not saying that's the council's, but my thought process is if she moves out on the 20th, instead of heating it for possibility, I'm not saying this isn't a possibility, but I don't think we're landed in a place yet. So it makes most sense to me to winterize the building, and that's just my thought process.
Well, I have a question in regards to what Chris is looking for. Will it require a garage door be put in if it gets utilized for what he wants?
Yeah, so again, just spitballing here for the moment, right? So there's no actual plans or anything. But yeah, so basically you could kill the water, you could kill the heat. You would just modify the building to house a garage door so you could move equipment in and out and just use it as cold storage. I actually thought it was a reasonable idea, if we're not going to do anything with it. Other than tearing it down, that might be a reasonable solution.
Building is sitting on a slab, so I mean, they get a hard base that they can work off of, as far as bringing small tractors in and out, to move forklift maybe, to move stuff around in there. Pallet jacks, whatever, you can actually service moving stuff around. Cold storage is a viable option, actually. I see your project as being an ungodly cost that, to assume. And I
do.
really-
I feel very bad for these families I'm one of them. I've been
Right.
going here for 3 years and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm out.
Right.
So
Go ahead, Jake.
Right now, there's not enough water in that.
Hey, Jake, I'm only
Correct.
for
Yeah.
the
yeah, you
internet
would
world.
have to.
Yeah, so right now,
double it.
there's only a 3/4 inch line into that building, so that wouldn't support a sprinkler system.
Sprinklers.
We'd have a 2 inch line coming down through this parking lot, so that you'd have to dig out T into that as well.
the
Just-
trailer park.
Just don't forget that, because that's a cost. that's
Correct,
all.
and
Yeah.
sprinkler companies don't pay for that, it's separate.
Where's the supply coming from? Is it coming
Parking
from
lot.
the parking lot side?
Parking lot, 2 inch plastic.
So it branches off the ball field line.
Yeah,
Is what you would
Okay.
do.
All right. Wow,
And it's only a 3/4.
no pressure.
The volume.
So they need it.
Yeah. probably.
I give you a lot of credit for trying to make it happen.
I certainly empathize with you and I
Yeah.
certainly, but I think you're.
I mean, my other,
I
my other
know.
thought was to at least talk with the fire marshal and see about getting a fire alarm system in there, which, I mean, if you're gonna have equipment in there, you probably would want a fire alarm system in there anyways, in case something happens, but, and just to keep it open until the end of the school year, which is 6
Right.
months.
How about a good-
Get a minimal cost of what we need to do to keep a daycare in there?
We can. I don't know if I can, I don't know how soon I can have that for you. I'd have to kind of smith that out. But
I have a quick
So-
question. You want to extend her contract basically?
Yeah, at least to the end of the summer.
Right, but she's licensed. What license would you?
I would have to apply for the license.
let's see, she'd have to apply for the same thing that Amanda currently has.
but I don't see the fire marshal.
He's already given us kind of a.
Yeah,
Because
the only
now-
reason, it's my understanding, the only reason why they're not really pushing it is because they know that she has 1 foot out the door. You know, so
Especially if a new entity was to come in, they're gonna be like, hey, wait a minute, we told you to get this done.
yeah.
So, but I understand it seems like,
Well, that's why I was asking, is it gonna be
I
$10,000
hate to
or is
say it
it
out
gonna be
loud.
$100,000?
Yeah, so I would say it I would almost do it this way. If you think as a council, you'd be willing to spend a pot of money, however small or large, then I think it could be feasible to try to run some numbers. But the question is, will the town be paying for the fire suppression system? Or would the new tenant be paying for the fire suppression system? You know, and the ongoing things, and the reason why I mentioned the heat, we're going into the heating season.
Yeah.
This is for that, if you think of it as a business, this is the most expensive time of the year. Are you willing to accept that responsibility? Because quite frankly, I wouldn't recommend the council going into an agreement if the town's got to foot all the bills. If you're going to foot the bills that she's been footing and guarantee us that you're going to pay it, well, that's a horse of another color maybe. But honestly, based on the margins and everything, I just, in the fear of trying to make something work, I wouldn't want to make what we have now worse. And if you get into a situation where you can't pay, because parents are going to be finding other situations over the next few weeks. So even if they gave you full boat, yeah, go ahead and do it. If you only got half the people that Amanda had, how are you going to be paying all the bills? I don't want to have to come knocking on your door. You know, you owe. You know, so I have concerns about the day-to-day management of it. And it does seem a little bit like the cart and the horse. I would rather, if we're going to consider using it moving forward as a daycare. I'd rather take the time and smooth it out the way that it needs to be to do kind of what Sunny is suggesting. And I think it involves doing what Daryl is suggesting, winterizing the business, taking a little time out. And if you're serious about it, put together a proposal for the council to consider. I can do some homework and working with you and others about what it would take to continue the daycare thing. But to be perfectly honest, in my discussions with Amanda, she wasn't charging enough. Profit is not a dirty word when you're in business. And I think that the parents weren't appreciative of enough of what she was doing. And because she isn't making a big buck here. If it were me, trust me, yeah, I'll be paying more or you wouldn't be coming, but that's me personally speaking. Professionally speaking, I think as I'm listening to this, I'm listening to some good common sense. I would just hate for the town to, give you permission to do this. And then we get into a situation where you can't pay, nothing's really happening. We're in a worse situation 4 or 5 months from now than we are today. That would be my management fear. Does that make sense?
My concern for anybody that's going to use it is I don't want to throw more money after bad money or good money after bad money. Like I wouldn't want to, you have the intention of doing it, your profit margin is very small. If it took 4 months to get a sprinkler system in and we paid for the sprinkler system and you're not even in business in 4 months, now we're sitting here holding the bag, right? It's to me, it doesn't make sense. I understand and I can empathize with the childcare, but I don't have the answer, and I don't know if that's. I would hate to rush into something for the town and invest a bunch of the town's money on fear of where we might lose something else. Does that make sense?
If we put cold storage in there and we put the things we want in there, wouldn't we want some kind of a sprinkler system to protect?
Cold storage doesn't have sprinklers.
No.
Sprinklers would freeze in cold storage.
Yeah, so it has smoke alarms, right?
That's right.
Okay.
It currently has a fire suppression system. It has regular smoke alarms, and quite frankly, I think it's a low risk proposition, right? If you were to use it as cold storage, how many of our cold storage garages have a lot, right? So if you were to use it as cold storage, I think it would be a low cost option.
We should have you verify with the fire marshal that in fact we wouldn't be required to have anything else.
You did.
I did. So
He
I did.
gave it to us.
I did. And he said, it's all 100% based on use. And because it was a daycare, it rose to a certain threshold where it needed a fire alarm system, right?
Okay.
Fire alarm, fire suppression.
And so basically pretty much
You didn't hear me.
I don't think that there's many other uses that would require this.
You said fire alarm. Was it fire alarm or fire suppression?
Well,
One or
my
the
notes
other.
say
Okay.
fire alarm, but
Okay.
I was an ongoing conversation.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure because we said it in the
Yeah.
microphone.
Well, and I'm asking because even if you say cold storage, if we're parking small tractors and things like that in there,
That
there
would be an
is,
insurance thing.
yeah, a
You
flammable
tell the
thing.
insurance company what you're using the building for, and they're gonna set your rate according to how you're using the building.
And the town
Oh,
already
this-
pays for the insurance on the building as it is.
Right. We
Well,
would
I
just need to notify them of what we're
Right.
changing the building
Right.
to. It's no different. It would turn it into a garage, basically.
Yeah.
It's no different than a garage at that point.
Okay, so the Public Works building doesn't have any kind of fire suppression requirement?
I don't
I'm
believe
not
so.
an expert as I sit
I've
here.
never
I-
seen one Jake, you ever see any kind of fire suppression? I've never seen anything.
You got a fire
Okay.
department on top of them.
Their suppression unit is on the top of the hill.
we have fire extinguishers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
But their fuel storage is outside.
Right.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Kate, I think, you know what, I'm a business owner. I've been in business for most of my adult life. And like I said, I really, really appreciate your efforts for trying to come up with something on the 11th hour. But I think you need to step back and think about all the expenses and maybe drop 10 and punt on this winter and probably try to put a program together for next year. Try to get a GoFundMe plan or, you know, something put together where you've got a pocket of money that you can approach this thing sensibly. That's would be a business plan that I would look at.
Yeah, I understand and I can see the stress in the poor girl's face because she has kids. There's a bunch of them with kids that as of December 20th, they don't know where they're going to be putting their kids.
But the reality is they won't be putting them there no matter what. Because it's the fire suppression or alarm has to be dealt with before a new business goes in there. There's no way the fire marshal will let us put a new daycare in there. There's no way.
Oh, and I understand that, Daryl.
I'm just saying, like, I do understand, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you. I mean, a true business plan with real income, projections, and I just think it's too big an investment by you or by us to make any sense.
Yeah.
That's what I figured as much.
Well, I mean, I hate to be the one to say that out loud.
Been-
I don't even want to say, I mean, I don't even know you and I don't want you to do this.
No, it's
Because
not.
I like,
even
this doesn't
did
make sense to me.
$150 a week charging parents and it's
I know.
still only 34%.
Yeah.
You got two girls over there working at $17 an hour. And then if you're open vacations, you're thinking overtime.
Right.
So I've
Yeah.
I do a lot of billing at Sprinkler System,
Right.
so I understand gross profit margin and all that. So
I just
I just
I
hate to
think it would be
see
a bad investment for you and for us.
No,
in both ways.
I am leaning that way. I hate to see
I
a program
hear
that
you.
has been ongoing for 10 years just disappear, kind of like the summer rec program. So
I understand.
All right. So I think we're coming to, at least
Yeah.
for tonight, a conclusion. So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, just because I said it doesn't mean that's what the rest of the council.
So for me, so I'm going to be off on the holiday stretch, okay? Unless I get curveballs. So I need to, if you want me to try to winterize
We
the
need-
building,
Right. It needs to be
then-
scheduled ahead.
then I need to try to jump on that just after she's gone, or it can wait a couple weeks until the first of the year. Either way, we can get it done. But your next meeting is January 6th. So we could just put a pause in this until January 6th, and then you tell me to winterize it, or you tell me to winterize it after she's gone.
Needs to be done, regardless of what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless you're going to do some sort of
The
quick
amount of
magic.
fuel we want to spend, basically.
So then I'll reach out, and unless one of you guys knows somebody who can winterize it on a good dollar. All right, Ray, let's chat tomorrow. And we'll get it done.
Our water department can't do that since it's a municipal building.
So speaking on behalf of Jake, Jake says that he's got enough to do and he doesn't want the headache of doing it.
I'm saying no. I'm saying no.
And I'm being kind.
Hey, I'm trying to save the taxpayers money, all right?
That's as far as winterizing goes with the water department.
So then I'll get together with Ray and we'll work on a game plan for winterizing it. Okay. All right.
Not the, it'd be the very
And
bad
do
news.
you want it to remain on your agenda, or do you want it to pause for a few months and deal with other stuff?
Is the 20th a hard number?
That based on what we know, it's a hard number.
Well, then I guess.
And
we can
so
figure it
it's
out.
either, so the following week is Christmas, right? So I'll work with Ray. We'll see if we can get it done that period of time. If it's something I need to babysit, then
Right,
I
then
can
it'll have
either-
to be after.
I mean, we'll figure it out.
But either way, we, you know, I mean, we can't just assume that there's gonna be enough fuel in there to carry a week of the part of the coldest part of the winter. We
Yeah,
can
so-
make, somebody's gotta verify that there's enough fuel in there to,
So, and so let's talk about that. So I'm assuming we keep the heat on maybe like at 50, 52 degrees like we did at 22.
yeah.
And then basically, you know, I'll leave the electric live, but with nobody in there, it should be next to nothing.
Right.
And we'll winterize the pipes. And I think unless you guys can
If you
think of something.
winterize the pipes, then you turn the heat on.
Well, wasn't there, so at 22, when we did that, there was something about the wall integrity and all of that should really be around 50, 52, 54 degrees, something like that. Or else you start running into wall structure. I mean, this is your world. You tell me.
Well, sheetrock might crack, but I've seen that sheetrock. It isn't very good looking anyways. I'm just saying, being realistic.
All right. Well,
I-
we'll kill the water and we'll take a look at killing the heat.
If you kill the water, I'd kill the heat.
Okay.
Like the only reason I would leave the water, I mean, yeah, I would keep, the only reason I would leave the heat on is until the water, like, is if she couldn't be there, I'd have no problem with the temperature being at 50, 55, just to keep the water from freezing.
Yeah.
But as soon as
Yeah.
the water is done, then I would shut the heat on.
All right. So
Perfect.
depending upon what we can work out.
Right.
So I'll take it off of your agenda for January because we have
just get an
this
update.
game plan. And then we can hit the pause button and we can move forward when you guys are ready.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, I think we beat that one down pretty hard. New business, the water department budget for 2025.
I make a motion that we accept the water department's budget for 2025 as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Or do both?
Thank you.
All right, 14.2. You want me to have you tee that up or?
Yeah. So, for those, I don't know if there's a soul that doesn't know, but just in case. So our longtime police chief, Jeff Goss, who has served the community of Mechanic Falls exceptionally well for decades and deserves not only a great big thank you from all of us, but a hug too. And, he will be retiring June 30, 2025. And so, Paul Schroeder is our current sergeant. And we've negotiated a contract for him to step into the chief's role as of July 1st, 2025. And he'll be on a 6-month probationary period with his contract agreement at that point in time. And the charter has, as a part of the charter for contracted things like this, to get confirmation from the council about the agreement that we've negotiated. So it's on the council's agenda tonight to confirm the contract agreement that we have teed up and in place.
Accept the motion to confirm Paul Schroeder's police chief contract that has been, I guess, agreed on. Well, I mean, it's been your purview, but it's been negotiated. So,
I make a motion that we accept the negotiated contract agreement with Paul Florida. Due diligence of the town manager and the contract date of to begin July 1st, 2025. And second.
any discussion? If not, those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Nobody has a vote left, so. All right. Hey, that time of the night that we all love.
Sonny.
I make a motion that we,
Do we have to sign this before we adjourn? No, okay. All right, just making sure.
I make a
Go ahead,
motion we
Paula.
adjourn. I make a motion we adjourn.
All those in favor stand up.
I,
I,
Thank you very much for coming out.
yes, yes. Oh, no.
No, it was Ray.
Was Ray.
No, that's all right.